pronounce the 911 with the address for emergency.
So I was doing a wellness check on a good friend of mine that I was dating, and I found it weird because I haven't talked to him for like 24 hours. And I just went to his house, and his screen door is wide open, and I just pulled the
Okay, so were you able to see inside?
Yeah, I pulled the blinds back, and there's blood all over the floor in the living room. And
Did you see him at all anywhere?
I didn't go any further.
On May 19th, 2020, multiple calls flooded in regards to the mysterious disappearance of Rosalio Gutierrez Jr. He had last been seen on May 17th, and concern was rapidly mounting.
Police Department, this is Kay. How may I help you?
Hi, Katie. This is Michael Campbell. My friend is missing from Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Rosalio's new girlfriend, Sadie Beacham, was among those worried about his sudden vanishing act. Deciding to take matters in her own hands, she visited his house to check on him. What she encountered was far beyond anyone's worst fears. As Sadie stepped inside, she was greeted by a gruesome scene. Blood splattered the floor, furniture, and even the ceiling. It was clear that something horrific had occurred. The sheer amount of blood left little doubt that Rosalio was dead, but his body was nowhere to be found. So what were the clues that left detectives confused and the world divided about this case? Let's find out.
I don't know, I can't.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Something there.
That's okay. You want some tissue? I'll get you some tissue.
This is too much. Thanks.
Yeah, we don't have a box. So
No, it's all right.
times are tough right now.
I don't know. Just weird stuff. But I've been telling Rosalio the whole time, and and he's just like, thank you for being honest with me and just telling me what's going on. Like, I just, I just want you to know because it's weird and I'm scared and whatever. And then, I don't know, and then Rosalio's just been so good about staying in contact, like we just talk several times a day. I mean, he'll call me, he'll text me, usually good morning all the time, or if he does it in the morning, then at least in the afternoon or something.
3 months ago, Sadie connected with Rosalio on Facebook Dating. She, a mother of 3 from her previous relationship, met Rosalio's children from his ex-wives on May 16, 2020, the day before he vanished. Their relationship seemed promising. On the day of his disappearance, Sadie and Rosalio exchanged affectionate messages, and Sadie believed she had found someone special until he disappeared without a trace.
I had such a bad feeling last night. I just didn't bother him after he said he was going to go see a friend, and I just thought, he'll text me when he gets home, and then I didn't hear from him that night, which I thought was kind of weird. But then I thought, okay, well, he'll text me in the morning, like maybe, he'll text me in the morning or something. I mean, he's a guy, and I've only known him for a couple months, so but then that morning, I still didn't get a text, and I'm like, what's going on? And then that afternoon, I sent him a text.
So the last time you talked to him was what?
It was Saturday at midnight when I left. And he said, text me when you get home. And I said, I'd text him when I got home.
Saturday at midnight?
At midnight, because I got home about 1:09ish or a little after 1. And because all the detours, everything was closed. Yeah. And I'm like, the detours suck. And I sent him that on Saturday, early Sunday morning, Saturday when I got home. And then Sunday, I sent him a meme, and then he texted me, good morning.
What time was that? Meme. Why you spell meme?
M-E-M-E. At 1:25 a.m. I said detours suck, and that was on Sunday. And then I sent him a meme at like 10:30, and then he sent me back, good morning, Dave. That was at 10:54. And he was with the kids, and he's like, we're just waking up. And I didn't stay that night, but, you know. And then I just said, I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. Thanks for inviting me. And he said it was nice seeing Ava, which is his daughter, open up with you. I mean, so we just had some conversation that Sunday afternoon a little bit, and then at like 1:30 or like 2 o'clock, I said, hey, are you okay? Because I felt bad because I thought, well, maybe he wanted me to stay, and I just kind of felt like it was the
2
first.
o'clock Sunday?
This was on 2 o'clock on Sunday, yeah.
2 p.m. Sunday?
Yeah.
He quit texting back.
No. I
Oh.
texted him at 2, like, we were texting back and forth in the
Okay.
afternoon on Sunday. But I was just checking in with him, and like, this is our last conversation though, was 1:52. I just texted him and said, hey, are you okay? Because, like I said, I thought maybe he was like kind of mad that I didn't stay overnight, and that I didn't want him to like, so I was just like, are you okay?
What time was
Checking
that?
in, that was at 1:52.
PM?
Yep. And then he said, yeah, I'm good. Why do you ask? And I said, I'm just checking in, babe. And he said, that's twice now that you are, he's like, are you having second thoughts? Because there was another time I checked in with him, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm just, a little worried about you. He's like, how did you know? And I said, I don't know, I just had a, like, you just tell him if you were quiet or whatever. He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm just worried about you. And that was like a while ago. So this was what he was referring to. That's twice now that I asked him. And then I said, no, I was actually thinking about us a lot today. And he's like, what about us? And that was at 2. And so this was all like around the 2 back and forth. And then my last text with him was, he said, what about us? And I said, just that I think we could have a lot of fun, all of us, and I think our kids would get along great, and I think that I want you to be my person for a while. And then he said, loved that whole thing. And then I said, I think it's going to be challenging, of course, but I think we could survive, I hope anyway. And he said, it will be challenging, but as long as we communicate and stay honest, we will be fine. And then that was like 2:30. And then 4:46, he texted me and said, this rain is crazy. It's like Mother Nature telling Wisconsin you don't know how to act with warm weather and virus. And I texted back to him, I said, it is. Laugh out loud. And I said, and then that was at like 4:52. He called me at about 8:30. And he called my phone and I missed the call. And I texted him and I said, hi hon, I said, getting the boys out of the tub, I'll call you back in a little bit. And then he texted me back at, a minute later and said, okay, no worries, I just dropped off Ava, going over to Mike's for a little bit. And I don't know Mike, I just assume he's a friend of his. And I said, okay, cool. I said, well then maybe text me or bring me when you leave there or something. And then at 8:36, he texted me back, okay.
The last confirmed sighting of him was when he dropped off his daughter at her mother's, Kayla Petty's residence, around 8:21 p.m., approximately 30 to 40 minutes away from his own apartment. After this, Rosalio provided different plans to different individuals regarding his whereabouts. He texted Sadie that he intended to hang out with Michael Campbell, but informed Christy Radatz Ortiz, the mother of his son, that he planned to visit Eileen Knoll, his ex-girlfriend and current friend. He messaged Kim Lavora, whom he met on Facebook dating, that he needed to drop off his kids and then go to Maynard's, and asked Nerida Macias, another individual he met on Facebook dating, to meet him at his apartment at 9 p.m. for their first date.
I just had the feeling that, and then, something's not right, and then I'm like, okay, Beck, stay on the phone with me, and then I started walking up towards his truck, and then I saw the screen door was open, the blinds were open all the way, and the screen door was open all the way, all the way, and I looked at that, and I'm like, do I go up? And I didn't go up to there first, and I just went into to the doorway where I would normally go into the apartment building. And I told Becky, I said, I'm gonna let you go. I'm like, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna find out, knock on the door. She goes, okay, call me back.
So I walked up to the door, and immediately, like, where the wall is to the door, I saw, like, brown splattered on the wall, and I'm like, I wasn't there before. I would have noticed like that on Saturday. You know, I was just there. We just walked in. You know, we used that entrance to walk in from getting tacos. And then I saw little spots on the door, on this red door, but they were dark spots. And then some drops on the floor. And I'm like, so I knocked on the door really hard, and I called his name, and I knocked again, and called his name, and then I turned the door handle, and it was locked. And then I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, something's not right. You know, I don't know. And I'm scared because I don't really want to know.
Yeah, I get it. It's not a position you want to walk in on.
So I just kind of stood outside for a little bit. Like I said, I noticed that truck that went by like a couple times, and what's going on? I called my friend, and it just said, something's weird is happening. Something's bad. Something doesn't feel right. And I said, I don't want to go in. And she's like, you have to, or you have to at least do something. And I'm like, just, you know, his door's wide open. He wouldn't leave it. Like, so I knocked on the window.
What friend were you talking to?
Becky. She's my best friend.
Rebecca what?
She knows about all of this.
What's her last name?
Jekyll, Jackel. She's got the boys right now. I just knocked on the window, and I called him. Rosalio, I just called him. And I know he's got that little piece of the blind that was open, so I knocked on the door and I looked in, and it wasn't in bed or anything, so I'm like, okay, maybe he's in the bathroom or something. I just kept knocking on Rosalio, and I'm like, okay, fuck it, I'm just gonna open up the door. So I slid the door open.
The main door, the glass?
No, the
Screen.
And then I just pushed the blinds aside, and I saw the big puddle of blood on the floor, and I just backed up, and I closed it, and then I called her, and I'm like, oh my god, there's a lot of blood, and she's like, you have to call 911, and I'm like, I know, okay. And then I did, and so...
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing, Sadie? Almost done.
You all right?
It's a long.
Sorry, it is long. It's just a lot of parts to
Yes.
it.
Yeah, but we get through it.
Yeah. And we very much appreciate your coming back down here and, you know, helping us out with this.
While Sadie is expressing genuine concern for Rosalio, on the day she was supposed to check on him, her text to Rebecca sounded oddly cheerful. Could she have something to do with Rosalio's disappearance, or even death?
And then the officer mentioned that the air freshener thing was on, but it's almost always on every time I go there. He's got that running.
Okay.
I don't know how many hours it runs for.
Yeah, I think unless you have a timer on it, it kind of runs as long as it's on, unless you have a timer or something that can move it.
You know, I don't know. The TV was on.
Can you, so where that freshener thing is, what else is normally on there?
Like, so there's the freshener, and then he's got like the scents that are like right next to it. And then there's a bowl where like he would normally throw his keys. Yeah, there's a bowl there that he normally throws his keys and like, you know, like a knife or something, you know, like a, just stuff, keys, junk, looks like a junk thing, pile thing. It's just kind of like, you know, your place where you throw your keys when you go in.
Where does he usually keep his, like that plastic thing for the shoes?
Plastic thing for the shoes.
Normally you find like
Oh,
walking the
so,
door.
yeah, like his work boots, there is that little rubber, plastic, black thing that's usually by the couch. So there's a door, so it's right by the couch, usually there, and then he's got like
Right inside
buckets
the door?
behind with like
Yeah.
signs in it, and then, yeah, right by the door, there's a couple of shoes, and then that black thing that usually puts his boots on. And yeah, I usually take my shoes off right there too.
It's usually flat on the ground next to the couch there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually got like a pair of boots on it, or some shoes, some slides or something.
I want you to consider some perplexing and inexplicable aspects of this case. When the police arrived at the scene on May 19th, 2020, they found the air freshener running. Rosalio was believed to have died around 10 p.m. on May 17. How could an air freshener continue to operate for that long? Even more baffling, no shoes were discovered at Rosalio's residence. Did he not own any shoes? Why would the perpetrator remove all his footwear? There were no drag marks or blood trails beyond the doorway. How did the killer transport him? Perhaps most oddly, evidence suggests that the killer would have needed to stand above certain spots to drip blood there. The furniture was arranged in totally different manner, but the items on top of them were perfectly placed. Who would do such a thing?
And she
13,
just kept,
right?
she's 12.
12.
Yeah, and she kept saying, Mom, I know stuff, Mom. And I'm just like,
She wouldn't tell you.
please wait. Well, she did a little bit, but I don't know. I just want her to tell you guys,
Yep. Oh, I'm gonna talk to her.
I don't know. She'll probably tell me some stuff, like she told me about the registration. She told me about the videotaping, and she told me to change my password. She told me that he hacked into her school computer. She told me, he can hack. Then she told me on the drive here that he can pick locks. I said, how do you know? She said, well, because he lost his key to his house and he picked his house lock. Okay. He asked her for the house key, which I took from her just now. She's like, oh, Mom, I found the house key. I'm like, did Dad ever ask you for it? She's like, yeah. I'm like, when? And she's like, not that long ago. And I'm like, well, why didn't you give it to him? And she goes, because I told him he didn't have a reason to have it. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, do you think he took it and made a copy? And she's like, no. Okay. But I'm moving.
All right, I'm gonna, I'll get back to that once
Yes.
Detective Vinny's done with the diagram, okay? So I'm gonna grab Olivia if it's cool with you and sit down and have the conversation, okay?
When I went back and I told Olivia, I said, Liv, I said, my friend,
I can't find my friend, my friend is missing, and, she knows his name, obviously. And the first thing she said is, call Dad. Where's Dad? I need to find Dad. Like,
So, that being said,
she knows.
do you talk to him? Like, if you called, would he answer?
Right now? Maybe?
So if you called him and said, what did you do? Like,
I know.
as of right now, everything's leading towards him being kind of a stalker.
Somehow.
Yeah, I'm not saying he did
stalking me.
it, but if there was one lead that we had, it would probably be if he was tracking, if he threw a phone in Rosalio's car or he did something, who knows,
Right.
Would you be willing to do that?
Sure.
Okay. We
I
might
mean,
consider
I
doing
just
that.
don't know, he's gonna be like, what are you talking about? He's very smart, I'm telling you. He uses my words and twists them around all the time. I mean, I'm like, I didn't even say that, or
Sure.
just, I mean, it's very narcissistic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Manipulating.
Mm-hmm. Or,
What do you,
yeah.
so if you called him and were like, what did you do? And then, what are you talking about? Be like, where's Rosalio type thing? What do
Yeah.
you think he'd be like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about? Or you think he'd be like,
I honestly don't know. I'm surprised that, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I kind of wanted to. I kind of wanted to be like, what the fuck's going on? What? Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he'll tell me. I don't know if he'll tell me anything. I don't know if he'll say, what are you talking? I don't know. Yes, I'll do it.
Let me give you a breakdown of what all was messed up in this case. Zach supposedly had just 1 hour to commit the crime. dispose of the body, rearrange the furniture at Rosalio's home, and return home. The fastest route from Rosalio's residence to Zach's took 1 hour and 1 minute, passing at least 33 CCTV cameras where Zach was not recorded.
I was going to Mexico the beginning of March. So like March 3rd to the 10th, I was in Mexico. And before I left, Zach and I had our twin boy's birthday is December 24th, okay, Christmas Eve. That day, he came over to the house and there was an argument. He was upset, our daughter wasn't there the day before Christmas. He began throwing things out of my house. I had to call the cops to have him come and ask him to leave. So that was kind of a violent episode. That was not the first time.
And was this before you met Rosario, or after?
This is before.
The Christmas before?
This was, yep, so 2019.
Okay.
So Christmas 2019, so that's December. So I didn't meet Rosalio until February.
Okay.
But December was when Zach and I had that blowout, and we hadn't talked at all. Like, I kept my distance from him. I tried to file a restraining order. Washington County wouldn't order it. I had 7 pages worth of history of why I needed this restraining order. I was afraid, and they let it go. He kind of gloated in that, and then he came and talked to me and said, hey, you know, I gotta go take care of some stuff out west, and I'm gonna be leaving. And I said, fine, you know, I said, but I just want you to know, like, I'm done, you know, with the relationship. Like,
So that was the official split in the relationship?
Yeah,
or?
like, I basically said, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want.
That's when he ended it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
After
before I went to Mexico, yeah. Yeah.
You might be curious why Sadie is discussing her ex, Zach, during an investigation centered on Rosalio. After Sadie called 911, she was initially hesitant to implicate Zach, but hinted that he might be involved. When officers later asked if she had any additional information, she accused Zach of stalking Rosalio. That was it. The police had their suspect.
I was like, if this is where our worlds are at, like, I don't want to live like this. This is not the first time. So I was kind of done. That's why I went for the restraining order. So right before I was leaving for Mexico, I did not tell him I was leaving for Mexico because I had fears of him going after the kids, because if he knew I was gone, he would try to take the kids, and that's exactly what happened. So he was at my house the day before I left for Mexico, or 2 days. He said he was going out of town. I said, okay. I said, well, I'm heading out of town. I said, well, you know, exchange the kids when I get back. I'll be back on Tuesday of the next week. He's like, yeah, okay. Nothing. Then, but the second day I was in Mexico, he...
When was this?
March 3rd, I got there, so like the 4th I think it was, or something. I think I even still have the text messages, but
Okay.
it was, oh, you're in Mexico. Then it was this big jealous thing of, you know, you're down there messing around, you know, screwing people, and da-da-da-da-da-da, and I was there with all friends that I knew, and it was very, you know, I wasn't down there with anybody that he even didn't really know. But anyways, had a big jealous fit about that. Showed up at my house where my best friend was watching her kids at 3:45 in the morning. Came into the house because my friend smoked cigarettes, so she forgot to lock the front door when she went out, so she just closed it.
This is your house?
My house, while I was in Mexico. My friend Becky was there watching the kids. Kids were sleeping. He came in, stood over her. She woke up to him standing there, and he's like,
What's her name? I'm sorry.
Rebecca. Becky, yeah.
Okay.
And he and her do not get along, but it's another story. And then, so she's kind of like, what? And then he's like, she's in Mexico, and you knew about this, and she's whoring around, and la 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 la. And just, I don't know if she could. She's more than happy to tell you what he else said. You know. And then he went upstairs to Olivia's room, and Olivia told me that he woke her up and started questioning her and asking her, who's Leo? Who's Leo? Well, that's Rosalio. I call him Leo. He's Leo in my phone.
Was it?
Leo is what I was calling him in my phone.
Okay.
And asked Olivia, who's Leo, who's Leo? And then she was like, I don't know, or whatever. Now, that was in March, so I had met Rosalio already in February.
Mm-hmm.
How...
You never brought it up to him?
No, I never told him about his name. I never told him anything at all. I did tell Olivia. Olivia had called me on the phone one time when we were in the car on Bluetooth, and Olivia said, who's that? And I said, oh, that's my friend Leo. And she's like, oh, who's that? And I'm like, he's just a friend, because that was, you know, how that was. So I assumed that that name came from Olivia. Olivia is afraid of her dad. I will just tell you that, in a sense that she will do whatever he says.
Yeah. Well, he sounds like a pretty controlling dude.
Here's where it gets tricky. The detective might be using reflective listening by saying he sounds like a pretty controlling dude. However, as the case unfolds, it's clear the detectives are fixated on Zachariah as the perpetrator. Zach became the sole focus, shutting down other potential leads. Experienced detectives rely on intuition and past cases, but this can sometimes lead to dangerous biases. Was their certainty justified, or did it blind them to other possibilities? A possibly dead man was out there somewhere, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The detectives had to trust their guts.
Gosh, so, yeah, so the whole Mexico thing, so I had to get on the phone with the police department because he wanted to take the kids. He was telling Becky, I'm taking the kids. He started making breakfast at 4 o'clock in the morning. My kids need to eat. Becky said it was the most bizarre thing. It was like he was like Susie Homemaker and like, you know, gonna do his dad thing or something. I did not give him permission to have the kids that weekend, even though we have a very, it's strange how it's set up, but I have full custody of the boys and placement of the boys, and we have 50-50 custody of Olivia, only because it's just a weird how it all ended up. Olivia's older than the boys, and insurance things, and state got involved with Olivia and not with the boys. So there's paperwork on Olivia, not paperwork on the boys. Anyways, so that's always been a thing where he'll just show up and be like, well, I'm dad, I'm 50%, I have rights to be here and pick them up and do whatever I want to do.
Okay.
And so that was kind of always that part of the relationship the whole time. So came there, tried to pick up the kids, I tried to stop that. He left that night, and then I tried to communicate, figure out what's going on from Mexico with him trying to want the kids. He's never had the kids overnight before this time, okay, before I went to Mexico. Never had an overnight with the kids. His house was never set up to have any kind of rooms or anything. He just lives there in his own little strange world. And we haven't lived together for 10 years. So we did live together when Olivia, up until Olivia was 3, and then he bought his own house. So we haven't been living together, but we've been together and trying to be co-parents or however. So anyways, then he sends me messages that he's got beds set up in his house and he's got a place for the kids now. And okay, so then I allowed him to have the kids for like the weekend when I was in Mexico. I arranged it with him over the phone. I said, okay, fine. I don't want, whatever, just keep you at bay.
So that was
right.
That was the outcome of the situation, is they take the kids for the weekend.
Fine.
Just get out of my hair and
Fine.
plan vacation.
Correct. And I'll be back Tuesday, make sure that you have the kids dropped off at school. We'll do this. I don't want to see you. We're done. Like, done.
Okay.
Then, I tried to be civil about things when he came back. I'm like, look, okay, I just want to talk. We met at like Chocolate Factory, sat down and talked, and I'm like, I just want to be able to communicate about the kids, come up with a plan, a schedule, whatever we need to do that way. And he wanted to talk about a relationship, and he, why can't we give this a try? And you're not giving me a fair shot, and all of that, and just several emails from that time on about trying to stay together. And I'm like, okay, and then I'm like, I just don't feel like I can do this. Like, I'm just not, I'm scared of you. I'm all, you know, I'm on pins and needles. It's like sleeping with the enemy. I can't do that anymore, you know, just, I don't trust you. All of it. I mean, I had all the conversation with him. I told him how I felt, laid everything out. And then some time went by. Now we're kind of the end of the
How did the meeting go at the Cheesecake Factory?
Sort of civil, a lot of tears, just really just kind of like, you know, I don't want to be back in a relationship. This is essentially where my stance was.
Okay.
Then there was like, you know, several weeks of, you know, I'm having panic attacks, I'm anxious, I can't sleep at night, you know, this is killing me, and just, you know, all of like the breakup heart stuff, you know, and I just, you know, kept saying, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to hurt you, there's no, you know, I'm not, you know, I want to be able to communicate about the kids, want to be able to get, you know, that, you know, that's what's important, and then, you know, then it would go into, well, you know, you're screwing around, blah, 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 blah.
From Zach's point of view, he visited Sadie's apartment due to her lack of response. Approaching the door at 4 a.m., he discovered it was unlocked. He had no idea that Sadie was abroad, and his children were staying with Rebecca. Let's hear what he has to say about this.
All right, Zach. Currently you are in custody. As you're aware, we're conducting an investigation. Prior to that, us talking to you, I want to read to you your waiver of constitutional rights. All right.
Okay.
It basically states that you, Zachariah Anderson, have been advised of your rights by myself, Detective Correa, the Kenosha Police Department.
Sure.
Do you understand the rights that I currently have read to you?
Yeah, we saw.
Okay. So we're investigating a case of stalking involving your children's mother, Sadie.
Sure.
All right. So that's what we want to talk to you about.
Okay.
Can you kind of tell me what's going on with, like, what's up with your guys' relationship? What's been happening, going on?
Well, so we were together for like 12 years. And about 6 months ago, she flipped her script pretty hard and went from being, you know, primary caretaker of our kids to barfly, you know. And so she, to my account, has picked up about 4 boyfriends. She had made comments to that effect to our daughter, you know, and she's been chased around with whatever guys, to my understanding, will buy her some blow. And that's how she's been spending her time. They reopened the bars in Wisconsin last week, Friday or whatever. My kids were at the bar 2 days in a row, you know. So I submitted for custody of the kids on the 8th, you know, retained an attorney and submitted for custody of kids on the
May 8th?
May 8th. And then she encountered that and filed on the 13th or whatever. And she's had a list of accusations about me stalking her and otherwise. And I have gone to check some information on her. And I have looked to verify some things like whether or not she's going to the bar and that kind of thing. But really just for the purpose of the custody battle, because it's just going to be a mess. And what I can tell you is, to my understanding, she, like around Christmas time, so we have twin boys that were born on Christmas Eve, you know, and it's supposed to be my day with the kids, my Christmas with the kids. And
this previous one?
Yeah. And I went over there and our daughter wasn't there. And I said, all right, you know, like we went and picked up a Christmas tree and we went to have set up the Christmas tree at her house because she has primary placement of the kids, you know. And so put it all together and that kind of stuff. I came over in the morning. All the kids were supposed to be there. Daughter's not there. And I'm like, maybe about 11:30, you know, like asking her, are you going to go get, you know, this is supposed to be my Christmas. Like the boys want to open their presents. It's, you know, almost the afternoon holiday or whatever. And she's all shitty with me, you know, shut your mouth and stuff. And I'm like, what the f-? You know, like supposed to have the day with the kids. This is our Christmas, right? Like you get the kids tomorrow for Christmas Day itself, but you know, what are you shitting on the day for or whatever? And she tries to hit me with the broom in the face, just spins around, tries to cloud me with the broom in the face, and turns into this big old exchange between her and I. She shoves me into the door like 4 times and then screaming, runs outside, calls the cops.
After this incident, Zach was arrested. One notable distinction between the discussions detectives had with Sadie and Zach is that Sadie's interaction was treated as an interview, whereas Zach's was clearly an interrogation.
So Olivia went into my cell phone and saw a text message from Leo that said like, "Good morning, hun," or "Good morning, love." And so
When was this?
this was, I don't know, I could probably look. Back in April, I'm gonna say. So she was upset because she thought that he was saying "I love you" and I was saying "I love you," and she didn't know this person, and she was wondering, like, you know, she's like concerned, like, mom's dating somebody and I don't know about this or whatever. So she told him, and then he told me, well, Olivia found a text message, and so you know, you're dating somebody and you love them, and I mean, just went into everything, and I'm like, wait a second, you know, we're not upset that Olivia breached, you know, crossed lines and went into my text message, like, isn't that what's more important here? And then, so that just started kind
So
of.
what did Olivia tell him? Okay.
I really don't.
But she told Zach.
She told him something. I mean, she was upset, like, with me. And then,
Yeah.
goodness gracious, this is so much. I mean, I swear I couldn't make this up if I tried. This is just unreal, this kind of,
Okay.
what is going on here?
She was upset about the new relationship, so she tells Zach.
Right. So that kind of snowballed him into his jealous type stuff. What did she tell me?
How do you know that she told Zach? Did Zach confront you or what?
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Okay.
And then, so there was one day, and I can't remember what day it was, but she's like, Mom, you need to tell the truth. So Zach was like, so you're texting some guy, or some guy's texting you, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, look, I already told you, Zach, that I'm seeing someone, so, you know, I've already been honest and upfront with that. There is no, like, secrets about it. I said, and as far as Olivia, I haven't introduced him to her because this is new. Like, these are our kids, you know? Like, I'm being smart about this. This isn't, you know? And so she was upset. She's like, well, I don't know who he is. And da-da-da. I'm like, why are you so upset about this? You know, like, honey, are you going to let me deal with it? And then she's like, well, just show the text messages. Show me the text messages. Tell me that you're not. And, like, she was confronting me, like, you know, why are you lying? I'm like, honey, I don't need to show you my text messages, you know? And
Sure.
even if I do show you, like, I've already told you that I've seen somebody. You don't need proof of seeing it, you know? And he's standing there and he's just like, yeah, why don't you show her? Why don't you show her? You know, in front of him, of course. And I'm like, no. So she became very upset and confrontational with me about the whole thing.
When did this occur?
That was probably mid-April, beginning of April, before her birthday. Now, her birthday is April 24th. Okay, so this is probably 2 weeks before her birthday.
Is this what a missing person investigation should look like? While the suspect's background is important, why hasn't anyone else been scrutinized? Why wasn't the investigation more detailed? What evidence do they hold against Zach? There are many layers yet to be revealed.
On the 24th, he had the kids, okay? So the kids were at his house. I was at home.
Okay.
Rosalio came over that night
Okay.
on the 24th, helped me decorate for Liv's birthday in the kitchen. He stayed over that night. About 3 o'clock in the morning, we were getting ready to go to bed, turn off the lights in my bedroom, and my doorbell went off. And I was like, what the heck? So I'm like, that's weird. So I looked out the window, and I looked out my front window, which looks directly out to the main Appleton Avenue. And as I looked out the window, I saw a black car pull out, and I live next to a bar. The bar is closed, there's no business because of COVID, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I saw a black car, and I'm like, son of a bitch.
Who is this car?
It had to have been Audi. I mean, it was a black car. Now, I didn't take a license plate, and it pulled out, squealed out of there, pulled right past the house, and went down, what way is that? Freaking west, I think. And that would have been the way that he would normally take to go back to his house. I was like, oh shit. And I Rosalio, I didn't tell him that night, but then later on I did tell him, but he was like, oh yeah, he's like, you didn't tell me that you saw the car. I'm like, yeah, you did. So then I was like, you know, I had the feeling like that was Zach. Like, it was kind of, you know, something's wrong. I asked Olivia, I went to Olivia and I said, Liv, I said, I don't know. I said, I think your dad was here last night, something's up. When she got back, I asked her. And I said, I just literally said to her, I'm like, hon, I'm just concerned that Dad may have left you guys in the middle of the night and didn't tell you. I'm like, that would have, you know, if Dad did leave in the middle of the night and told you, that would have been one thing, but if he didn't, like, what if something happened and you would have woken up to the blaze and then you wouldn't have known which direction Dad went in, you know? I'm like, that kind of scares me. And she's like, Mom, I gotta tell you something. And I'm like, what? And she's like, Dad did leave. And I'm like, he did? And he told me. And I'm like, he did. And she said, yeah. She's like, he woke me up and he told me he had to go and get some answers. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what? And she's like, he needed to get some answers, Mom. He can't sleep at night. He just needed to be able to go to sleep. And I'm like, what? And she's like, now he can sleep, Mom. Now he can sleep. And I'm like, what does that mean? And she's like, well, he saw you. He was videotaping you. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, Mom, and I saw you, and you were there with that douchebag. And she's like calling him names and like using all this language that she's wouldn't use, you know. And he did this, and you did that, and I saw it. I'm like, how, what? And she's like, yeah, Mom, I saw it. So he must have showed her a videotape of what he videotaped me.
Was it having sex or something?
No.
Okay.
No, just sitting on the couch.
Okay.
Just hanging out together is all it was.
When he got home, he showed her the video.
Yeah, he must have. That's what she said.
Yeah.
And then, you know, had some conversations. So then when, you know, she was upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
She was upset with me, like that I was doing something wrong, or that, you know, I shouldn't have a friend over, or, you know, whatever he was, whatever. Wherever her mind was going with it, or
Sure.
I don't know what influence is, but
Mm-hmm.
she can figure that out. So, yeah, since then, it's just been this back and forth about him.
Sadie clearly hints that the influence is negative and comes from Olivia's father, Zach. Sadie doesn't seem to be hiding anything. While she might have a skewed perception of Zach, she isn't being dishonest. This raises even more questions about Zach. What was he truly capable of?
So go see the DA, tell the DA, hey, this is what happened, you know, whatever. It's not the first or second occurrence. Long story short, happens again. She does the same thing. Cops show up, and I tell the cops, I put my hands on her. They arrest me again and haul me away. And I'm just like, it's fucking ridiculous, you know, just because she said whatever she said. She said I'd push her at one point at the front door. I'm like, no, she turned around, ran into her own fucking Christmas decorations and tripped her damn self and spilled her shit. I didn't touch her. I didn't step forward. I didn't do shit. I just stood there and watched her make a mess of herself. And that's been kind of the thing. It's like, no matter what happens, no matter what goes on, she accuses me. Even today, as an example, or last night, if you guys get my cell phone, I'll show you how ludicrous it is. She accused me of hacking her phone, her text messages, and her emails. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, you know things that people shouldn't, which just my lingering suspicion is that she's doing blow. I don't know for sure. I haven't been able to verify that, but just on her behavior and, you know, I mean, I've known her for 12 years and it's a hardship. So huge difference. So anyway, she makes a bunch of accusations and she says, well, you know how to program or something. You know how to hack my phone. I said, I don't even know any programming languages. I just worked for the phone company for a decade. That doesn't mean I know how to hack people's phones. Like, you don't understand what I did there maybe, but it had nothing to do with that, you know, like it's just crazy. But she's like, well, you know people. I'm like, nobody I'm going to ask to jeopardize their job over this bullshit. Like, what are you talking about? So she's just got some acute paranoias over shit that I can't make sense of, you know? And so I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. But as far as stalking is concerned, no, we both see other people. I specifically, when I was arrested tonight, you know, had a girl over and I was spending time with a different girl. So I think maybe she is a little mixed up in what she thinks or feels about me, and that's fine. But really, at the end of the day, whoever's getting her high is more important. So I don't think, I don't think it's like that at all.
So what accusations, what else has she been throwing out besides hacking her phone?
Well, that was the latest one.
I guess over the last 3 months or so.
Most of the accusations came like in the last month, really. But she said that I was sitting out following her.
Did you notice a critical line here?
Most of the accusations came like in the last month, really.
This particular line has a deeper backstory. Last month, Rosalio had advised Sadie to maintain a paper trail to support her bid for full custody. This advice coincided with increased allegations. While Sadie's actions could be innocent still, as she started documenting Zach's unusual behaviors, she and Rosalio also discussed a plan B against Zach, ranging from physical violence to more severe actions.
So, yeah, since then, it's just been this back and forth about him, and then Olivia came forward about a week after all of that when she told me about when she was like, Mom, there's something else. She's like, I think you should tell your friend. She's like, but Dad could get in a lot of trouble for it. I'm like, what? And she's like, well, you should probably tell your friend to do something because Dad took his registration out of his truck. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, how do you know? She's like, because I saw it. He was writing all over it. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, I'm like, he still has it? She's like, yeah. And he's not planning on giving it back. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, what's he going to do with it? And she's like, I don't know. He said he was going to maybe have him followed for fun or something like that. And I'm like, okay, that's not okay. So then I told Rosalio, I'm like, hey, I'm just letting you know, Liv told me that, the registration was gone and a letter, because Zach said something to me about, you should go tell Rosalio, he's really in love with this other person, this DL or whatever. Well, this was a letter that he stole. So he took the registration and some letter out of the glove box, okay? Olivia referred to this letter as well. So, and she goes, and a letter from some girl, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what the letter is. So when I asked Rosalio about it, I said, Rosalio, there's a letter, and this missing. Is that missing? He's like, yeah, and he's like, and the letter came with the vehicle. He's like, my daughter found it the other day. It was in the back. He's like, it must have came with the vehicle when I bought it, and it was to somebody else. It's not to me. He's like, I just threw it in the glove box or whatever. He's like, so, he can have the letter, that's not a big deal. And then he was like, and if he wants to follow me, fine, he's like, if that's, if he wants to, come and talk to me like a man, then, that's fine. He's like, but I just really hate that he's being so disrespectful to you, and, like all of that, like just, but we had talks about it, and like, he's like, Rosalio, he's like, he's like, you just let me know. He's like, if you ever feel unsafe, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, he's scary, but, I don't really know. I'm like, but now he knows where you live. And he's like, well, I'll just probably keep my doors locked now and, whatever.
Rosalio wasn't exactly truthful. While dating Sadie, he was active on Facebook dating and kept in contact with his exes, all while sweet-talking Sadie. He sent Sadie the most romantic texts, but had set up a date with someone else for himself the night he vanished. So his explanation that the love letter belonged to the car's previous owner is harder to believe, don't you think?
At that time, so Olivia had a burner phone that she had been using to send messages, which was one of his old phones. It had cracks all over it. He had another burner phone that he used for music, which had been activated at one time, but, it lost its whatever. Then he acquired a third burner phone that he uses, that he has, which is the burner phone there, that he uses that has service to it. So he uses that when he needs, service. The broken phone the Germantown Police Department had, and they had taken that phone, so he had two, the burner phone and then the other phone that he used it for his phone, or for his music. That night, I was pretty upset. We all went over to my friend Becky's house. As we were leaving, I lifted up the blanket and I find the burner phone next to Olivia. And I'm like, what are you doing with that phone? And she's like, and I'm like, does your dad know you have it? I'm going to tell your dad that you have this phone. Like, this was his big deal, no phones, you know? She's like, no, he knows I have it. I'm like, what do you mean he knows you have it? And she's like, well, don't tell him. You're not supposed to know you're not supposed to know that I have it. And I'm like, why? What? And she's like, well, Dad wanted me to record you. I'm like, doing what? She's like, anytime you got upset or you yelled or anything, he wanted me to record you. He's trying to take us from you, Mom. I'm like, okay. So I kind of asked her, I'm like, how do you know that? And she's like, well, that's what he said. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm like, well, whatever. I didn't really get into all that with her. But I took the phone. So I kept the phone, and I confronted him. I said, Olivia's got your phone. What's going on? Then he comes back and says, oh, I didn't give her the phone. She must have had it from when we were playing on the phone in your car at the police department. She must have kept it. I'm like, what? I'm like, why wouldn't you have noticed you don't have two phones with you? You know, that was just a whole thing he couldn't answer. So I kept that phone. And then Oliv's like, you're not going to give Dad back that phone? I'm like, not till he asks for it, you know.
Sadie's use of the term burner phone adds a dark twist to the case. But according to Zach, he simply had two cell phones. The focus has been entirely on Zach. Even if other suspects were on the radar, the stories about Zach have firmly cemented him as the prime suspect.
There was another vehicle in the driveway. She was claiming that she wasn't seeing anybody and she just needed some space for us to get back together. Our daughter had gone through her cell phone, got a bunch of messages.
Tell me about those. We'll go step by step here, man.
All the messages my daughter read through, I don't know exactly because our daughter likes to fabricate some information. But in short, Mom's seeing somebody else, telling him that she loves him and all that kind of stuff. I was saying, you know, you're cutting me along, pushing me along, you know, trying to tell me like we have a future, or that like things are a possibility, but you just want some space. You're upset after our last argument or whatever, and it's not true, you know. And so she kept insisting, oh, that's not the case or whatever. I love you, all this kind of shit. And so I did go over there, you know, and found out that she was seeing somebody else. And okay, you know.
Where were the kids?
With me.
Sure.
Yeah, I loaded them into the car and took them with me.
Okay. How did you know there was someone else there?
Premonition, a weird feeling when I talked to her, you know.
Is this something you've done before?
No, that was the impression that I got. That's something else.
What gave you that?
Just the way she talked, the way she behaved, you know. You know, real eager to get home, you know, like something else was going on. If I remember right, it was like she didn't have time to, it was at a different night.
How old are your kids, man?
The twin boys were 4.
And your other daughter?
12 now.
What time was this?
I don't know, 9 at night, 10 at night. I don't remember the exact time.
Have you ever done this before? Went over? Premonitions?
No.
And what if I told you that I have reason to believe that the 4-year-old weren't with you that night?
I don't know. Why would you have reason to believe they weren't with me?
Because we spoke with
Yeah.
Zach's responses can be interpreted in various ways. One possibility is that he is entirely innocent and merely a man navigating the challenges of dealing with a teenage child. On the other hand, his demeanor in the 911 call suggests he could be a manipulative charmer.
Mac 1911, what's the location of your emergency?
Yeah, I've got 2 gentlemen standing in my driveway, posturing for physical harm.
Are you there by yourself, or did you say someone else was there with you?
Yeah, I have a girl over.
Okay. And your name?
My name is Zach.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And who's the girl that's with you?
Her name is Christine
And what's Christina's last name?
Remsburg. Arrest her. Have them arrest her. Just wake her up. It's the traditional spelling. I'm not
The
sure.
traditional spelling, right?
Which interpretation do you lean toward?
Premonitions don't make me psychic. Calls me Zachariah when she feels good. And then the next text was denim shirt, ... Kenosha. And that was at 10:42. And I was on my way out to Kenosha. So then I was like, why? How does he even know? So when I got to Rosalio's, I had a feeling that he had put something in the car when I dropped off the kids, because he helped our son get out of the car, out of one of the sides of the car. And I just had a weird feeling, and I'm like, I'm gonna check. So I searched underneath my car seat, or my car, I searched on the floor and whatnot, and I lifted up the car seat. Behind me, the passenger, or the driver's side, behind me, lifted up the car seat, and the third burner phone that I don't ever really see, but it has the service on it, was on, in a password locked position, on, upside down like this, flat underneath the car seat. And I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. I couldn't open it up.
Were you at
Rosalio's, I was. And then, so I shut the phone off, and I came in and I told Rosalio about it. I'm like, look, I found this phone. He's like, you gotta be kidding me. He's like, what is going on? He's like, this dude. He's like, what is up? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I wish you would just leave me alone. This is, going too far. When I found the other phone on Olivia, I looked through it. I took a picture. I looked through it, and he had an Amazon account on his other phone. And in the Amazon account, he had 2 tracking devices sent to his home. I know there's so much, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, but I'm just trying to tell you what I got here. Images. So then I took a picture of the invoice. Because then I started freaking out that he had put a tracking device on my car, or maybe on Rosalio's car, or something. So then when I found this too, I told Rosalio, I'm like, I found these 2 trackers. I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, if he's tracking me, let him. Like, he was very kind of passive about it. Like, I don't know what to do about this dude, but, I'll keep an eye out. But he didn't seem like he was too afraid. You know what I mean? Like,
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna see part of the guys here to download, because I'd like those messages you put down so I can.
It's worth wondering what innocent person would buy a tracker on Amazon. What would he need it for? Even if you dismiss the detective's focus and try to side with Zach, there's always a twist that leaves you questioning what really happened on May 17th, 2020.
Was the night before that, the night all this went down, where you went over and saw the man? The dude?
No, I don't believe so. I don't recollect what day that was, but I guess you got Sadie.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. That's what I'm asking.
Okay. Sorry.
The whole incident involving the guy.
Yeah, I don't remember that was the night. I don't think so, but I don't remember exactly.
Well, like I said, I have no reason to doubt what he was telling me.
Okay. I just got a long track record as a Germantown police, but
she described some pretty grave detail on what happened that night at the house, as far as looking through the windows and all that. And she's claiming she got drugged along.
Yeah, I don't know what she perceived she could get in trouble for, or so I don't know.
Did you look through the windows of the house and see someone in there?
Yeah, the windows were open. I could look through the windows and see. There's no blinds covering the back door or anything like that.
Did you take pictures?
No.
Did you take video?
No.
Take audio recording?
No.
Nothing.
No. So you had the same bullshit accusations. No, I didn't.
What did you hear?
Nothing. I heard that. Saw them laughing, saw them, doing their thing or whatever the hell. And okay, they had the music on and they're doing whatever they do.
Okay. At any point, did you have in the window? Initially, when you first got there with you?
I don't remember initially. What I know is at some point I was like, oh no, go back to the car.
Okay. Did you place any cell phones anywhere?
Nope.
I mean, this is something she told me, and then this is something that a 13-year-old girl is not going to come up with on her own to get her dad in trouble.
I didn't place any cell phones anywhere. What happened originally was Sadie was slapped in the face to discipline her when she was yelling at her.
When was this?
Like a
what
month
is
and a
this?
half ago, and recorded it on her school laptop. She came to me and she told me, and I said, "Hey, Mom, no, wouldn't she slapping you?" She said, "Yeah, Dad, she slaps me and she yells at me." I said, "No, that's not like her at all. You know, like it's really not her character." But you recorded it. I'll give you the recording. So she starts the recording. Mom screaming at her, going, "Okay, okay." And she swings at her again, and she hits the laptop itself. And that to me, I don't know how many weeks ago. I'd have to look at the video, you know, or whatever. And at that point, I told her, nobody's going to believe me. Nobody's going to believe me. Mom tells the cops a story, they arrest me. Mom tells the cops a story, they arrest me. Nobody's going to believe me if I say, hey, Mom's the violent one. She's the one losing her shit, and she's the one hitting the kids. But it doesn't stop there. And like, she stands the boys up against the wall and hits them on their arms and legs. So it looks like they're fighting. And at night when it's cold out, she takes the blanket away because they're playing, you know, using the blankets and playing and stuff like that. And then she calls me and she's got the boys in the background, owie, 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 getting hit by Mom. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know, the boys misbehaved. They're 4, 3, 4. I stand them up against the wall, give them a few minutes to think about it, you know? I mean, flick them in the head or something like that, but nothing. I'm not hitting them. I'm not taking the blankets away at night. If I put my kids to bed, I just lay down with them.
What does this whole thing have to do with putting a cell phone somewhere that night?
So what happens is I give one of my old phones so she can record what's going on. So I have some evidence. And then so yes, there are cell phones, but I didn't put a cell phone anywhere for that purpose. I gave it to my daughter to record when she's being abused or when the boys are being abused.
Okay, but again,
I didn't put a cell phone anywhere.
Videos found on Zach's devices presented conflicting interpretations. Sadie viewed them as evidence of stalking, whereas Zach claimed they were proof of Sadie's alleged violence towards them. Detectives discovered that during his trip to purchase cleaning supplies, he also bought cans of sardines, which were found open but untouched in the van. Was this a deliberate attempt to mask the smell of blood and a deceased body? Additionally, the carpet in the van had been removed, which appears suspicious. However, several testimonies supported Zach, suggesting the carpet had been removed days earlier. Luminol test, which should have revealed a certain pattern, instead showed something unexpected. Despite this, investigators found a minuscule amount of blood that could not be conclusively tested, but was identified as male. This discovery was sufficient for the investigators. They finally got what they needed.
You didn't know about a relationship?
Oh, no, he knew about it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
He just figured out his name on that day, right?
So that was the other thing. So then the day that he told me that, you know, and we had a big fight outside about it the day after Olivia's birthday when she left, and that was the thing. And I said, just be honest with me. I said, I saw your car here. I know you were here. I know you were here. And then he's like, yeah, I did. I was here, and I saw you and him.
Okay, so he admitted it.
He did.
And this was at the birthday party?
This was after Olivia left, and we were outside talking. Yeah, and I'm like, why? You know, and he's just like, jealousy and blah, 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 and I love you, and all, you know, whatever the whole conversation went, you know. I can't remember everything word for word, of course, but, you know, essentially he did come clean and told me that. And at some point he rattled off his name, and he's like, I see Rosalio Gutierrez. Yeah, that's his name, that's it. He's Mexican, and like he described him perfectly from that night. Like, I'm like, there's no frickin' way. That was the 25th when he was telling me that he had all these premonitions of me, the visions, that he didn't actually videotape me, but he had visions that this was happening. And this usually happens in a breakup, he said, with me. And I typically see things and, whatnot. So the other burner phone, so I had been in contact with the police department about all of it, and I told them that I found this burner phone on Olivia, and I called them and I said, look, this is weird. I know it's not related to Olivia's case, but this is related to me, and this is, I feel like it's stalking or something.
You told the police after you found this phone in your car?
Well, I called the police after I found the burner phone on Olivia, and I found the tracking, the GPSs, and I asked them what to do, and they said, go take it to a mechanic, have it looked at, see if there's any tracking. I said, I did. There wasn't anything on it. Then I just documented it. I did that. And then, my mechanic friend came over. He's like, I don't know, we checked everywhere. And then this burner phone popped up. And so then when I found the burner phone that night at Rosalio's, I'm like, well, he must not have a tracking device on me if he's going to put a burner phone in my car, right? So then I had the phone overnight. I stayed over at Rosalio's that night. The phone was off. I turned the phone off and came home the next day. And then I think it was that day. If not that day, it was the next day. Zach's like, hey, or he came to pick up Olivia, and he said, hey, do you have, or to drop off the kids. That's what it was, because I was at Rosalio, so he came to drop off the kids. And he's like, hey, do you have that burner phone? And I'm like, yeah, I do, the one that Olivia had on her. Because at this point, I didn't tell him that I found that other phone. And I gave it to him, and he's like, where's the other phone? And I said, what other phone? And he's like, the other phone that I have. And I'm like, I don't know, why would I know where your phone is? So I played stupid, like, I don't know where your phone is, you lost your phone, like, why would I know where your phone is? And he's like, well, the last time I had it was when we were in the car with him. I'm like, Zach, that was 4 days ago, like, you text me since then, why would I even have your phone? Well, I had it at my house and da-da-da-da-da, and I said, you were playing music on it when I pulled up to your house, you got Magnum out of the car. I'm like, I don't know where your phone is. Well, I had it. I want to check your car. Can I look? And I'm like, sure, go ahead. Opened up all the doors. You looked at the front seat, went to the driver's front seat, and then went to the back seat, lifted up the car seat. And the first car seat he lifted up was the one right behind me. Lifted it up, and then I could see his face right away because I was looking through the back, and then, I know what I clearly, I'm like, yeah, you knew exactly where you were going and what was there. And then, so he's frantically looking around, he's like, I need that phone, I gotta have that phone, and I'm like, why? And he's like, our daughter's stuff is on that phone, and da-da-da. I'm like, I understand. I'm like, why don't you, call the carrier, disconnect the phone, you lost it, do what you gotta do, go get another phone. I don't know, I don't have your phone, I don't know what to tell you. Then, he's, distraught about it or whatnot. He leaves. I had contacted the Germantown Police Department to let them know I did find this burner phone. She said, hang on to it, don't give it back to him right now. I said, okay. The next day he calls me and says, I called Verizon and they pinged the phone. Last time they pinged the phone was Kenosha. So I just want to know, do you have the phone? And I'm like, look, and then, he's like, just be honest with me, stop playing games. I said, then you be honest with me, you stop playing games. I'm like, why was the phone in my car? Like, what, And he's like, well, because I was tracking you and I put it in there because I knew you were going to go and da-da-da. Immediately after I get the phone back, then he's like, you're always lying, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, lying about what? I've been honest with you about everything. I don't know what more you want from me. Don't want to be in this, situation, whatever. And then he left. And then all the messages now have been like, you made me tell you that, and I never took any video of you, and I never did this, and I never did that, and you've been mean to me, and all I did was try.
The case is fraught with potential misunderstandings. It revolves around the dynamics of a couple who have grown apart, one moving forward while the other struggles to do so. Such scenarios are fertile ground for blame shifting and misinterpretations. Yet, can accusations as serious as stalking, potentially linked to a disappearance or even a homicide, be chalked up to misunderstandings? This question lies at the heart of the entire case.
Okay.
I have to ask you a question. Yeah. Am I allowed to talk about the pot?
What?
Like, am I allowed to say that Dad had it in California and stuff?
Hey, no.
They already did.
Because he got caught.
Okay, well,
What are you trying to say?
like, there was stuff about, in California that he had a gun and stuff.
You know about it?
Yeah,
I don't.
he had an unregistered gun in California to keep on the pot safe.
Really?
Am I allowed to talk about that? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I think just that you know about it.
I mean,
The
there's
unregistered.
stuff that I know that you guys don't know.
Whatever you need to.
I'm not trying to get Dad all the way in trouble.
It's
Not about that anymore.
It's not. It's not. We want to make sure everybody's safe, and including your dad. You know, I mean, I don't want your dad hurting himself or doing something weird, right? Or coming after us with this unregistered gun. I think you should.
Yeah.
I think you just be as honest as you
I
can.
know,
with it, though.
I said that I had to come and ask you first before I said it.
It's okay. We just, I think, you know, they already know the record.
Well, the other ones are just so squeaky, you know. Are we gonna go back home tonight?
Yes. We are. No, we're probably gonna stay by Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah, okay.
Or go by Becky's, for the boys. I need to be by the boys.
This is such stupid stuff.
How about?
I was in this position when you were out of town, Mom,
I know.
where he did this type of thing.
I know. It's not right.
Then we stayed with him.
No, it's not right.
We ended up staying with him. You better not let that happen.
Here we go. This is why I'm here. I'm just trying to make sure that we're all protected. It's not okay to... I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm scared too. I'm scared that...
Grandma's just waiting out there for there's nothing.
It's gonna come out. I don't know. Your dad's crazy.
That was my question. I just
Sorry.
asked you.
Yeah. You can tell me what you need to. Please just be honest, baby girl.
Love you.
I love you.
Bye.
See you in a few minutes.
However you analyze Olivia, it is crucial to note that she was a minor at the time of the events under scrutiny. Being underage during these critical moments adds layers of complexity to understanding her actions, reactions, and statements within the context of the investigation. Minors may exhibit behavior influenced by their developmental stage, emotional maturity, and understanding of the events unfolding around them.
This is too much. This is too much. This is way too much, babe. This is way too much.
Why don't we call Dad? And because he wants me to check in with him every day. And what if there's like background noise that we can hear or something?
Because we're not detectives, babe. No. Because this is serious. Because we can't just call Dad without direction.
Well, it's not you, it's me, and I'm not gonna say anything. And I can just say, hey Dad, it's just me checking in.
This is one of those moments where like...
No, but it's a good idea because then if someone is in the background, then you can hear like them going, or you can hear them scream or something.
I know, sweetheart.
It's not that...
I appreciate you thinking this is bigger.
Yeah, Mom.
But we have to let the professionals do their job. We're not the detectives. You're not the problem solver, baby. You know, I mean, I know, I hear you. I don't think Dad is with him, sweetheart.
Where do you think he is?
Hurt.
Where?
Don't know. And maybe not even alive anymore. That scares the out of me.
how do you think Dad did it?
I don't know, Olivia. I don't know what to think right now. Or had somebody do it? I don't know. Who else? Who else would hurt him? Who else would want to? I don't know.
Maybe he didn't tell you something?
Like what?
I don't know.
He's been honest with me about everything. He's got kids your age live. He's not weird like that. He's not all messed up. He's just normal. No. Your dad did something and he's so stupid. And why would he do that and take himself away from you guys even? Like, just stupid. Stupid, stupid. I don't want to think that, but honey, I don't know right now. I'm so freaked out.
Olivia might be experiencing a mix of emotions, confusion, fear, and curiosity about what happened to Rosalio. At 11 years old, she may not fully comprehend the gravity of the situation and may even be excited to be a part of something big. By proposing such a dramatic scenario, Olivia may be attempting to assert her involvement and importance in the investigation.
So, we have more than enough to charge stalking, okay? And I think we should proceed with that. Reason being, obviously this isn't going to get any better. He's going.
I know, I couldn't prove anything, that was the problem.
I think we have more than enough to prove.
I know, and I didn't want to.
I know.
Is there a way that I could call my father?
Not right now. We don't want you to do that right now. Why would you want to call him?
I mean, like, not investigating anything, but like, to see if like you could hear anything in the background of it?
Yeah, we're not gonna.
Like that.
We're not gonna do that right now.
Good idea, though.
Yeah. So, we just have to make sure you're on board with it before we go about it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want that piece of things to stop. That's been a concern of mine. I mean, I'm, getting to a paranoid point of, like, where am I going? When am I being watched or not watched? And, she's telling me things, it's just not healthy all the way around.
Everything you've said is she's confirming it. You know what I mean? Without me telling her, she's coming out and telling me she knows all this stuff. And it's, for someone to get stalked is one thing, but then to bring your daughter into it, and I think Olivia understands that.
That's completely not okay.
Mom,
Well,
it wasn't over video that I saw it.
What wasn't over video?
Where I saw you and Rosalio together.
Okay.
Dad had brought me that night and left the boys at the house.
Are you serious?
Alone.
Holy shit, are you serious? Oh my god. You can't tell me stuff like that. Oh my god. Okay, so what do we do?
I think this is important for you to know, though.
Baby girl, he can't go over there. He can't have you guys right now. I can't. This isn't right. None of this is okay.
He leaves us alone when we're there, and he comes and watches you when we're there. He leaves in the middle of the night.
Okay, how do I stop this? I've got to do something. I've done what I could to try to place Mike in custody into place, and I don't know what to do now.
Well, we're gonna force it, okay? We're gonna take some action. I just need your blessing and you're on board with it.
I'm so scared.
I know you are. You've been scared for about 3 months, right?
Longer, probably.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Sadie, it takes a lot of courage on Olivia's part, you know, to talk to us, you know, and I think it means a lot that, you know, she can talk to you as well.
Sorry, I'm just...
I think Mom needs a
It's
hug.
just a
Yeah.
Bob thing.
Dad told me not to tell
I
you.
know.
Why don't you give Mom a hug, huh?
The hug and accompanying emotions were leveraged by the prosecutors, despite their reliance on circumstantial evidence against Zach at most. This does not imply Zach's innocence. He could indeed have orchestrated the crime. However, it is the prosecutor's responsibility to establish guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, a burden they arguably did not fulfill in this case. A few hours after conversing with Sadie, the detectives called in Zach to talk about the stalking charges. Just 2 days later, on May 21st, 2020, Zachariah Anderson was arrested. He was put on trial in Kenosha County Circuit Court, charged with first-degree intentional homicide, hiding a corpse, and stalking. Prosecutors alleged that he was jealous of his ex's new relationship and had been stalking them. Meanwhile, his defense argued that the state did not even consider other potential suspects. Zach's daughter, Olivia, testified against him. He was seen gesturing to her to be silent. However, according to those present in court, the situation was more complex. It wasn't just Zach gesturing to Olivia. Sadie was doing it too. In fact, Olivia had been trying to communicate with Zach, which was why he asked her not to say anything at that moment. The media, however, portrayed this differently. Many testimonies and pieces of evidence both supported and implicated Zach. With no other suspects considered, all evidence pointed towards Zach, and he was found guilty. No alternate explanation was provided as to what might have happened to Rosalio if Zach had not murdered him.
I don't have a son. My boy is gone. My only child.
The truth of this case remains unknown. Maybe Zach did kill Rosalio out of jealousy and anger. Being a smart guy, he convinced half the world to side with him. It could also be Sadie, who knew Rosalio's routine and the apartment well enough to set things up differently, although that theory is less likely. There is a greater possibility of a third person exploiting the messy triangle between Rosalio, Sadie, and Zach. If Zach didn't commit the crime, his time behind bars is entirely due to Sadie's insinuations of his involvement.
I would hate to get on any conversation that didn't include me mentioning, which is really tough to do without crying, that I miss my kids. And I think that that is something that most people don't really understand, because I haven't seen them in 3 years outside of seeing my daughter. And somebody sent me a letter the other day talking about how tall my boys were, and I have no idea whatever happened at trial was definitive. It definitely isn't. There's so much truth that's missing. There's so much story that's missing, and there's so much that is modified. You know, that it's, I think it was obvious to most people that watched the trial that there was information that was definitely corrupted. And I'm pretty sure intentionally so.
But what do you think about this case? What, according to you, happened to Rosalio? Thank you for watching. If you like this type of content and want to support the channel, there is a Patreon link in the description below. You'll be able to watch videos with 0 ads and some that are too controversial for YouTube, and you'll be supporting the channel at the same time. Thanks again for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next video.